Hello, and welcome to BattleTech Faction Briefings. Today, we are looking at one of the lesser-known mercenary teams, Grim Determination. Despite the try-hard-sounding name, they have proven themselves as a formidable force until they hit a string of bad luck that caused the unit to fall apart. From the horrors of the Ameris Civil War to the anarchy of the Chaos March, let's discuss Grim Determination. The symbol of the unit is an odd one, featuring an aggressive-looking turtle with an SRM-6 rack on its back. It does stand out despite looking like a modified sports team logo. The image is placed on the upper left leg of their battle mechs, left wing of their fighters, and left fender of their land vehicles. Interestingly enough, after some events in 3057, many pilots added a small rabbit being blasted by the SRM launcher. Behind the rabbit is an explosion that looks very similar to the sunburst of the Federated Commonwealth. However, pilots deny any connection. As for the paint style, Grim Determination uses basic camouflage of the terrain where they are stationed. There are no parade colors for this unit. Thus, if you have any units with a basic camo paint job, they can substitute for Grim Determination on the tabletop when needed. There is no fiction for Grim Determination, though they may be name-dropped in a few pieces of fiction, but I have no count of those. The vast majority of the information about this unit comes from source books. If you don't want any spoilers, then skip to the time listed. The story of Grim Determination begins during the Ameris Civil War. At that time, they were called the Warriors of Dawn. They served Stefan Ameris and helped defend Terra from the SLDF. They were tenacious and survived the war. They were noted for their great defense skill and never give up approach to battle. In the brief peace that came after the fall of Ameris, the Warriors of Dawn changed their name and began work as mercenaries. The name Grim Determination was chosen to represent their attitude during the Ameris Civil War. During the First Succession War, the newly minted mercenaries were stationed on Cerberus in the Outworlds Alliance. They would serve there for the length of the war. The Outworlds Alliance has no major record of battles during the war, but somehow Grim Determination was cut down to 45% effectiveness by the end of the war. This may have occurred due to battling various pirate factions or border skirmishes with the Draconis Combine. By the Third Succession War, Grim Determination had gotten a contract with the Federated Sons. As of 3025, they were stationed on Muskagon. They did not see much action due to the position of the world within the Federated Sons. This allowed them to build up to a 4 heavy battalion unit with a squad of heavy fighters and an armored brigade as backup. They would keep their contract with the Federated Sons and continue that contract even into the era of the Federated Commonwealth. Grim Determination would then be transferred to Sarmaxa until the War of 39. At that time, they were transferred to the planet of Lasalis to act as defense. Once the war was over, they returned to Sarmaxa to continue garrison duty. In the 3040s, Grim Determination were transferred to Sarna. This was likely to act as a guard, while the 3rd FedCom RCT rebuilt after being ravaged during the War of 39. In 3046, Sarna was attacked by the 12th Atrean Dragoons. In a battle that took over 3 weeks, the majority of the Dragoons' conventional assets were destroyed, and a third of their mechs had fallen. After the battle, there was enough salvage for Grim Determination to replace a battalion of mechs. Prior to 3049, Grim Determination was transferred back to Sarmaxa. They stayed at their old base for years, before being transferred back to Sarna around 3056, when the 3rd FedCom RCT was transferred to a different garrison. The Joint Free Worlds League and Capellan Confederation attack on the Federated Commonwealth, called Operation Guerrero, began in 3057. Grim Determination were set as the defense of Sarna. They were working with the Kaifeng Sarna March Militia and 1st Battalion of the Sarna Martial Academy Cadre. The defenders of Sarna were successful in holding back the CCAF's Stapleton's Grenadiers and the Tooth of Ymir mercenaries. The victory emboldened the Sarna government to declare themselves the Sarna Supremacy, a new independent nation. This put Grim Determination in an odd position, as they were working for the Federated Commonwealth, but found themselves in a different nation. They were ordered to liberate Kai Feng from the Capellan Confederation for the supremacy, but refused the orders while waiting for news from the Federated Commonwealth. When they got a response, Grim Determination were told that the contract was being dropped. The Mercenary Review and Bonding Commission sided with the Federated Commonwealth because when Sarna declared independence, Grim Determination did not act in the defense of FedCom territory. This left Grim Determination without a contract for the first time in decades, and added a black mark to their rating. Luckily for the unit, Sarna decided to pick up their contract. This didn't pay much, but it did keep Grim Determination alive. As part of their contract, they assisted in freeing Sakhalin, where they got into a battle with Kingston's Legionnaires. Grim Determination was able to keep their strength up. By 3059, they had 4 mech battalions, a reinforced wing of fighters, and a battalion of armor. Unlike most units, each battalion had its own command lance to allow for more independent movement. This allowed them to work a variety of strategies and quickly establish defensive positions when needed. Their time in the Chaos March was rough, as they defended the Sarna Supremacy. Things got worse when Sun Tzu Liao's Xinsheng campaign cut off supplies to Sarna due to the blockade of Kai Feng. To make matters worse, a commando raid by an unknown but probably Capellan force killed a battalion worth of soldiers in a midnight raid on their barracks. Morale dropped due to this, and when the Sarna Supremacy got absorbed into the Capellan Confederation, the mercenary contract was cut off early, and Grim Determination was left out in the cold. At this point, Colonel Har Har made a fateful choice. Instead of taking low-paying garrison work while rebuilding, the mercenaries would take high-paying, short-term contracts to make up for their losses. Their time in the Chaos March had improved the unit's skills at counterterrorism and counterinsurgency operations. Thus, they did have skills that were in demand in the Chaos March. As the FedCom civil war heated up, Grim Determination found themselves struggling to remain solvent. Things got so financially tight that they had to sell off a battalion worth of mechs just to keep the troops fed, as well to repair and upgrade their surviving mechs. From the years of 3061 to 3066, many officers started taking leaves of absence and not returning. Many of them ended up joining either the Federated Sons or the Lyran Alliance to fight in the war. A large segment of these officers were part of the aerospace unit, cutting down their pilots by half. Even after the war, many of these officers remained with their chosen military force rather than return to mercenary work. By 3069, Grim Determination wasn't nearly as strong as they had been in previous years. However, they still boasted 3 mech battalions with advanced tech, 2 squadrons of aerospace fighters, a battalion of armor, and a motorized infantry company. Even if the Chaos March had weakened their mech forces, they were far from broken as a unit. The last major garrison job Grim Determination took was on Sheraton. As the Ward of Blake War started up, mercenaries got hired to destroy Grim Determination. This onslaught crushed Grim Determination, killing many of their soldiers, including Colonel Oliver Har Har. This marks the end of Grim Determination in 3070. One of the mercenary forces who attacked Sheraton was Cumberland's Missilers. The Missilers didn't know they were working for the Ward of Blake, and realized too late that they had given the Blakeists an opening in the Chaos March. Upon learning the truth, the Missilers reached out to the survivors of Grim Determination. Those survivors ended up joining with Cumberland's Missilers in hopes of getting revenge on the Ward of Blake. Thus, even when destroyed, their determination kept them going into later eras. Grim Determination may sound like a try-hard name, but their history shows that it is an apt name for this unit. They may not have the fame of some other mercenaries, but their battle record during their height deserves some respect. However, they did fall apart in the Chaos March and ended at the hands of the Word of Blake mercenary forces. Yet, the survivors live on as part of Cumberland's Missilers, a mercenary unit we will discuss next time. Despite a long history, there really aren't that many notable pilots in Grim Determination. Hardy Har, the colonel in the post-Succession War era, serving as leader from about 3030 until his son took over in 59. He kept his unit together during the difficult times, especially Operation Guerrero. His mech is unknown. Oliver Har. He left the unit to serve with the AFFC in the War of 39, where he earned the Silver Sunburst. He returned to the unit after the war and took command in 3059 until 3070, when the unit was destroyed. His preferred battle mech is unknown. Byron Smith, commander of the 2nd Battalion in the 60s. He worked as the main intelligence officer and tended to blend into a crowd. He piloted a Blackjack with Star League-era gear. Mervyn Schmidlap, a legacy pilot whose family has been part of the team for generations. He stuck with the team through the hard times, but was best known for complaining about everything. He pilots a Cyclops. Grim Determination, like many mercenaries, have a large variety of units they could potentially use. A key thing to keep in mind is that each battalion had a different lineup of mechs. The first uses assault and heavy, the second is just heavy units, the third is medium and heavy, and the fourth is just assault. Their primary strategy is to send out the first 3 battalions and keep the 4th in reserve in order to pound their enemies with fresh soldiers when needed. Grim Determination also specializes in night and low visibility combat, which explains the choice of upgrades that include active probes and C3 systems. However, most of their history is focused on defensive actions rather than charging in as a vanguard unit. For the majority of the time they were around, Grim Determination oftentimes had lower-end tech. It wasn't until Oliver Har started selling off old machines to upgrade his troops that they had modernized equipment. Their support teams were also unique, as their aerofighters were designed for air superiority over ground attacks. Their armor brigade involved a mix of LRM tanks, assault tanks, and scout hovercraft. Like many smaller mercenary forces, there is no fiction that I could find featuring Grim Determination. However, they do have a good amount of sourcebooks for those trying to build a mech force of turtle-themed mercenaries. I have no idea how I stumbled across Grim Determination. I don't remember them from any fiction, and they don't interact with any major factions I like. Yet somehow I stumbled across the unit, and after learning that they served Stefan Amaris, I put them on my list. I'm glad I covered them, because the drama in their closing years was very interesting. However, their early days are really vague, and I wish there was more information beyond "they were at this place at this time." I doubt that will be fixed anytime soon, but at least we have enough information for mech commanders to run Grim Determination from the late Secession Wars to the early Blakist War. The basic camo paint palette means that several other mercenary factions, or standard military units, can substitute as Grim Determination if you need them for a match. Making the unit for the sake of having them is up to the commander, but I have no plans for painting up a team of Grim Determination units. The odds of Grim Determination ever getting a force pack is laughable. However, if Catalyst is crazy enough to do it, here are my suggestions, alongside cards for Hardy Har, Oliver Har, and Byron Smith. Next time, I'll be looking at Cumberland's Missilers, and after that, I'll be covering another smaller mercenary unit. A big thank you to all the mech commanders and mech warriors who have subscribed to my channel. May your weapons stay hot and your reactors stay cool. Until next time, I'll see you at the tavern.